So it wouldn't be one of my videos if I didn't have some kind of mishap, would it? Well, that annoyed me. Let's see that again. As I take the lid off the bottle, it slips out of my hand and pops onto the floor. I look down and then I've poured too much glitter into that tiny little bit of resin. Hey, welcome back to my channel. It's Wendy here from Toonpish Crafts and I hope you're doing okay. First of all, I want to wish you a happy 2024. I know this video will be going out early in January and yeah, happy 2024. I hope it does everything that we want it to. Anyway, going back to the video. I don't know if you remember a few years ago, now it must have been at least 2.5 years ago, I made a chess set with a dragon theme. It was a long drawn out process with all sorts of issues with the moulds, but I used some Waterslide paper in it. Now I did say at the time I would do more with Waterslide paper and I actually haven't done, I don't think I've used it at all since then. So I thought I'd show you Waterslide paper in resin. I've also got some really nice UV resin that I'm trying out for Estoyo resin company. And let's see how that works as well. I'm going to try and keep it all bright and colourful. I picked a really nice picture. Well, I think it's really nice. But that was from Creative Fabrica. So let's see how I get on with Waterslide paper, UV resin and an animal. So this is the UV resin kit I was sent from Estoyo to have a play around with. I do have a discount code for Estoyo. It's 15% off at the checkout and the link for that will be in the description box below. I was quite surprised what came in this box. We have the flakes, the tape, which is always great for using UV and bezels. You have a lamp in there and of course the resin. Again, more stuff underneath the cardboard layer. There is masses to do in here. There's some rather nice deep cut bezels. These necklace chains also have keychains and all the attachments that you would possibly need. There's a tiny mixing cup. And these little flimsy things, I don't know why they bother putting those in the box. They're really useless. I hate those things. But you get so many useful things. Tweezers are always handy. And a mould as well, and that one in the bottom right hand corner is one I really like. These little flowers are cute and loads of glitters. What a fun packed box. Let's have a look at the UV light. It's a USB light and it's quite dinky, but it will do the job. It has 3 different time settings and I will be using this. It's quite cute. Now I seem to be collecting UV lamps, but they're always good for different applications. Now going to the resin, I didn't read on the front that there's 2 bottles in here, 200ml bottle and a 60ml bottle. So I got the 200ml bottle out and I'm quite happily looking at the good benefits of this resin. And I thought I'd tip out the lids. And that's when the other 60ml bottle popped out. I wondered why I had 2 lids. So this is a tray mould I purchased from Temu. It has a wooden frame inside and outside, which is why I chose it. And I'm using some vitriol paint, it's glass lining paint, to make a dam around the outside edge. I do use several layers. I think there's 3 or 4 layers to get quite a high dam. And the reason for that will become clear in a while. While that was curing up, I needed to go and find myself a beautiful picture. So I went to Creative Fabrica and I downloaded a pack of adult colouring pages. Amongst it was this absolutely stunning zebra and I thought it would be perfect to go on the tray. So I adapted it slightly and removed the white background. This is on white paper but it is clear. So the zebra's white bits are actually clear. Then I printed it out on my printer onto Waterslide paper. This is Waterslide paper. It's not Temporary tattoo paper is Waterslide paper, so it works slightly different. It actually feels more like paper than the temporary tattoo paper does. And once I'd cut it to the right size, I then realised I had to turn it over, so one of the corners had to be trimmed up a little bit more. But once I was happy that it fit inside my dammed area, I covered the back in water. Now, you can print absolutely anything you want on Waterslide paper. This is the amazing thing. You could print a portrait. You could print any picture you want on Waterslide paper and put it on a silicone mould. Now, will it stay on the silicone mould? I was a bit dubious when I first tried this. Now, I'm just a little old crafter. I don't know the technical reasons why Waterslide paper is different to temporary tattoo paper, but I do know that temporary tattoo paper is more plasticky and very thin, whereas Waterslide paper seems to be a lot thicker, which means to me that it is more durable and easier to use. I have soaked this for quite a few minutes, and it did get stuck in the corner just on the right there, but that's the dam that was leaning over. But the backing comes right off. A little bit in the bottom left hand corner flicked over, but I pushed that back. There are a few bubbles in this, but once it dries you can pop the bubbles with a pin and push it down again. Now I'm going to use some transparent PBO paint, and this time I'm going to go over the black areas only. This means that it's a long job. I don't go over the thin black lines, but I'm going to definitely dam off each particular section so that I can use different colours for each section. Now, I did choose a rather intricate picture because I know that I want a lot of very bright colours in here. Obviously, you don't have to do this much work. You could choose a simple picture with simple lines and still have the most amazing picture at the end of it, because you're basically using the Waterslide paper as the picture, but you are colouring it in. You can see by my line work here, I don't have such a steady hand, but it doesn't matter. All that matters is I can separate each area so that the coloured resin that I put in doesn't wander into the next area. Once that's all done and dried, I have my framework. The framework for the colour that I'm going to put into this. It's quite detailed and I really like it. I didn't do it all in one sitting. I came back to it several times and I thoroughly enjoyed doing it, to be honest. And as it's transparent, you're not going to see it at all when it's turned over. So now it's time to use some UV resin. And I've opened the smallest bottle that I have in the pack because I thought it would be ideal for these small shots. I'm going to first of all mix a tiny bit of snowy white. Throughout this entire video I'm using Estoyo glitters and Estoyo colours apart from one, and I'll show you that one later. I'm going to start by doing the little tiny dots around the outside of the zebra. That's all they are, white dots. And I'm putting those in first, one so I don't forget them, and two because I'm just trying out this resin and I want to see how quick it cures. And it seems to be curing really quite quickly. So it wouldn't be one of my videos if I didn't have some kind of mishap, would it? Well, that annoyed me. Let's see that again. As I take the lid off the bottle, it slips out of my hand and pops onto the floor. I look down and then I've poured too much glitter into that tiny little bit of resin. So I now have to fill up with more resin and make more orange when I really didn't need that much. What am I like, eh? Those sorts of little things really wind me up anyway. Now I've got my orange colour. This is just glitter in here. That's all it is. No orange pigment at all. Now I thought to myself, I'm going to keep this bright and colourful, therefore we'll just go with glitter. It will be bright enough as it is. I then decided later that it wasn't bright enough. It was going to be too pastel. So from then on, I did put a tiny little bit of colour in the UV resin as well as the glitter. So these glitters came in the box that I opened at the beginning, and they are bright and sparkly, but they're just not deep enough colours. So with a little bit of colour as well, I can't put too much colour in this resin because you need light to go through to cure UV resin. So it does have to be quite transparent, but I wanted it more than just glitter. I definitely wanted a bit of colour in there. So I use glitter and a little tiny bit of powder after that. As I said, the colours I use are all Estoyo colours from their multi-box of colours. They are amazing powders and so many variety of colours in there. You can never have enough colour in my opinion. So I'm going round and I'm mirroring each colour on each side of the zebra. The blue is one of my particular favourites. It's very vibrant and so sweet. So that gets highlighted everywhere on this zebra. But then most of the colours do. And as I'm mirroring, I'm doing exactly the same on one side as I am on the other. This yellow is extremely bright and I want a psychedelic type colour for this zebra. I want everything to be as bright as possible. Do you remember the wolf? I'll put a link to that in the top right hand corner. I absolutely loved the wolf colouring. And so I wanted to do similar but slightly different with this one. The purple here is absolutely stunning. You know what I'm like about purple? Absolutely gorgeous colour. I'm not going to put you through the whole lot of this because you'd be sitting here for hours. And although it's quite mesmerising seeing the colour, it might put you to sleep. Now this is the colour that I said was different. It is Resin Supplies Den. That's Yvonne at Resin Supplies Den's red glitter. The red that was in the box set I didn't feel was bright enough. It was more brown than red, and so I definitely needed to choose a different red for my project. And I'm so glad I did. That red is stunning. Now unfortunately I do have to use green in this project. You know what I'm like about green, but it adds to it. And if you're going to do it right, you're going to do it right and you're going to add every colour, no matter how much you dislike it. But this green's okay. And now for the silver. The silver I'm going to use for the outline of his head and his mouth. And I hope they're not teeth, but I think they're just the way the lips or the outline of the mouth look. I'm not going to lie, this did take a while, but I did it in several sittings. And lastly, I've made up another bit of orange just to fill in some bits that were lacking colour. And I'm nearly there. Now for this part I'm going to use 2-part epoxy resin, and I'm going to use Estoyo's resin, which is really lovely, thick and a beautiful resin to use. I'm going to use some Vista black pigment. I'm also going to use a small bottle with a needle top lid. I'm going to put the black in all the black areas. Now I am going to cover this entire piece with white, which is why it has such a high wall around the outside. The white will keep the glitter and coloured areas vibrant, but it will dull down the black areas. So I'm colouring in the black areas to keep it black. And yes, you can wash out these bottles with isopropyl alcohol, baby wipes and a cotton bud. They come up like new. The following day I can do the white, and I'm using Vista white for this. I've only mixed up 80ml of resin and I'm hoping that will be enough to cover the entire back. It's going to go over everything, but not down the sides. I'm going to use a different colour for the edges and the whole back end of the piece. So this white is to keep the colours vibrant and to stop the interference of the back colour from changing the colours. I don't know if I'm making sense here, but I hope I am. Black and white are to keep the colours exactly as I want them to be, but I don't want the whole piece to be black or white. So I've got a high lip. I'm using it to make a inlay, if you like, of white, and then I'll pour the outside edge and the back. I'm going to try and do a mottled 2-colour effect on the outside edge, and that would definitely change the colour of the picture in places. So I've got this little piggy pigments, and they are sterling and a unicorn. Sterling is like a silver grey and unicorn is a pinky blue, and it's one of my favourites. It's a chameleon pigment. Mixing up the resin using my Estoyo mixer. It's got bubbles in there, but that's just where I poured it out. The mixer does not give any extra bubbles, which I'm really surprised at. When I first got a mixer, I was very dubious, but I love my mixer now. So I'm going to put small amounts of pigment into 2 different cups, and I'm just going to pour them out. I did end up pouring a bit more of the blue in so I could have a bit of a richer colour. But you really don't need a lot of this powder, and it mixes really, really lovely in this resin. So I'm just going to pour them at the same time over each other and get a mottled grey silver blue effect with a bit of luck. I didn't actually make enough resin, which is typical. I had no clue how much I needed, and I was using quite a lot, but I needed just a couple of ounces more. So I did end up making a very quick batch of blue just to top the whole tray up at the back. So at this point, this project had taken me well over a week. Now this was filmed before Christmas. I'm a postwoman, so I was extremely busy. So I just popped in and out as and when I had 5 minutes, and I thoroughly enjoyed making it, to be honest. At this point, I couldn't wait to demould this piece. It'd been an age since I was doing this. I only poured the resin the previous evening, so it hadn't even been 12 hours, but it had been on a heat mat, and so it was nice and solid and cured. There's overspill on one side, but that's not a problem. I can always carve that back. Now the lines on the mould, I believe, are from the paint, and that actually cleaned off with a little bit of alcohol without any problem, and it didn't damage the mould at all. This is what I knew I would find. It's mottled, it looks terrible, but I knew I was going to find this, so it's no big deal. I am going to give it a nice shiny top coat. So as I demoulded that first thing in the morning, about 5:30 in the morning before I went to work, this is the evening, and again I couldn't wait to bring it back to life with one little top coat of resin. This is just 80ml of resin, and it's sitting on a heat mat, so it won't take long to cure, and it'll cure absolutely beautiful sitting on a heat mat. And it's just bringing it to life. Look at that shine. Fingers crossed it will cure beautifully. Don't forget there is a comment section below if you want to ask any questions about resin or this piece, or if you just want to say hello. And why not push that subscribe button and ring that bell so you never miss one of my uploads. So the question is, has it worked? Has it met my expectations? Honestly, I absolutely love it. It is bright and colourful. I love the mottled edge and the surround. The blacks are black, the lights are light, and I've absolutely thoroughly enjoyed making this. And I hope you've enjoyed watching it. So Waterslide paper definitely works in resin. I'm over the moon with this, and I will be doing more projects with it in the future. Maybe not so psychedelic as this one, but I absolutely love it. Thanks so much for watching this. Come back and see me next week, because you never know what I'm going to be up to. I never know what I'm going to be up to. Have a great week. Happy crafting. Happy New Year, and bye for now.